is going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am back with you for my official preview for the Lions game tomorrow. The Dolphins versus Lions. It is at Hard Rock Stadium, so it's another home game. Before I get into my preview, though, for the game, there's a couple things I want to talk about. First and foremost, I had a question that I decided to answer in the video today. Steve Kaminsky asked me where I'm from. I guess a bunch of people liked my little tour of my little makeshift room thing here. So I was asked where I was from. The short answer is I'm kind of from all over, a few different places. I've lived several different places in my life. The slightly longer but still short answer is I was born in upstate New York, Syracuse. I lived there for roughly a year. My family moved to Long Beach, California. Lived there for about 2 years till I was about 3 when my parents split, at which point I moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia with my mom and my sister. When I was about 16, I briefly moved out to California again to stay with my dad. Then went back to Virginia. I left my mom's house at 17, and I went to upstate New York again to a little college town called Oneonta. Lived there for about a year or so. And then after that, it was Pennsylvania. Lived in a small little town called Clarion in Pennsylvania. Then went back to California, to North Hollywood. So that was right prior to, that was a little bit prior to me going to the Navy, because then after that I ended up going to Indiana for a couple months, and then to Chicago for a Navy boot camp. So I was there for a few months, a couple months there, and then I went to Groton, Connecticut. I lived there for about a year because I was in submarine school for the Navy. And then I went to Norfolk, Virginia, back to Virginia where I was stationed. And then after that, back to North Hollywood, California. And that is where I am currently. So there you have it. That's where I'm from. I'm kind of from all over. I've traveled America a lot. I've either been to or through every state in the country except for Alaska and Hawaii. And the only places outside of the country I've been to were Norway, Scotland, and Portugal, and that was on the one deployment that I made when I was in the Navy. Anyway, so that's where I'm from. That's where I've been. Go ahead and get on to the next thing. So I also had a request to show you guys the custom Nikes that I have. The Dolphins Nikes that I have. They're custom Dolphins Nikes. They're basically just in the colors of the Dolphins, but I had some things engraved on them as well. So go ahead and show you. This is the first one. This is what it looks like, and if you can see here, it's got the 1972 right there for the undefeated season, and then on the other one, on the right shoe, it has the Miami right there. So 1972 Miami. When I go to games, I've been to a few games now. Hopefully I'll be able to start getting to more and more as time goes on, but I've been to a few games now out here in California. When I go to games, or if I go out to a bar or someplace and I watch the game, I'm in full dress. I'm head to toe, as you can see in my the title screen of my videos. I am head to toe. I got the jersey, the shorts, I got the socks, the shoes, I got my wallet, the lanyard on my keys, my cell phone case, I got Dolphins shades, I got the Dolphins gloves, so I'm all Dolphinsed out when I go out into public, and I represent for the team, for the squad. So I had a request to show you that those, so I hope you guys like those. I usually get a lot of compliments on the shoes. They're pretty dope. Okay, so that's enough about me. I had some requests for stuff, so I figured I'd get that out to you guys. But moving on to more of the team stuff. First and foremost, It looks like there are more rumors that Devontae Parker is on the trade block. It looks like they've been getting calls from teams, but it looks like the team is not willing to take anything lower than a 3rd round pick. So we'll see. I mean, you know, obviously he hasn't really done much for us over the past few years. It's really disappointing to me. I wanted him in that draft. And if he goes, then I'm only down to one really relevant jersey. I'm wearing my Ricky Williams jersey that's throwback retro right now, you know, for this video. But, you know, and then I have a No Sean Moreno jersey. I have a Jarvis Landry jersey. I have a Devontae Parker jersey and a Ryan Tannehill jersey. So if Parker goes, then I'm down to one relevant jersey left. And, you know, there's an argument to be made, you know, whether or not Tannehill's even going to be around past this year. So I'm gonna have to get me a new jersey at some point. But anyway, so there are rumors that DVP is on the trade block and that we're trying to seek at least a 3rd round pick for him. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, now getting into some of the more, you know, relevant stuff for this upcoming game. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the injury report real quick. So it looks like Cam Wake and Bobby McCain are looking to make their returns this week, which is really good. You know, that gives us a little bit of help on the D-line and in the secondary. We're struggling just a little bit in the secondary because, you know, McTyer was having some issues, some difficulties. You know, Tank's been kind of just whatever. So having Bobby McCain back will definitely be huge. Getting Wake back will be big, especially considering that as far as the players that are ruled out for this game, Tannehill's obviously out. And Charles Harris and Jonathan Woodard are also ruled out. So that's 2 DNs that are going to be out for this game. So that means we have what? Andre Branch. We should have Cam Wake, it looks like. Who am I missing? Charles Harris and Jonathan Woodard are going to be out. There's someone else. Oh, Cameron Malveaux. Cameron Malveaux will be in there. So it looks like we're only going to have 3 defensive ends. Jonathan Woodard obviously had the concussion. Hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. Hopefully for next week for our short turnaround to the Texans. Charles Harris, hopefully he can get his calf right sooner rather than later and we can get back to full strength. But it looks like that, we are getting relatively healthy. And hopefully within the next week or two, you know, we can get the team back to full strength 100% and, you know, for down the stretch, because we will certainly need, you know, all hands on deck as much as possible for sure. For Detroit, they've only ruled out 1 player, and that's Theo Riddick, one of their running backs, which is good for us because that's 1 less weapon that they have. And then they have, let's see, questionable. They had defensive end Ezekiel Ansah with a shoulder, guard TJ Lang with a concussion, and tight end Michael Roberts with a knee. So Ezekiel Ansah is a pretty big name, obviously, and TJ Lang is as well. I don't know Michael Roberts as much, but Ezekiel Ansah, I don't believe, played last game. The last game that they played, but they are coming off a bye, so he's had time to rest. And TJ Lang is with a concussion. Now, I don't know if he's cleared the protocol or not. But, you know, if those 2 guys couldn't play, that would be huge. We'll obviously have to just wait till game time to see what the inactives are and stuff like that. But in any event, they're pretty healthy as well. The only person they're really ruling out is Theo Riddick. But that does help us because that's 1 less weapon that they do have. Okay, so now going into the last games, our last game, their last game, give you the statistics with that, and, you know, league standings and stuff. And then I'll talk a little bit, or as I go through it, I'll talk about, you know, the key points and how I feel about the lines and stuff. So real quick, before I do actually get into that, if you guys recall when I talked about the Jets and the Lions when they played early in the year, and the first game of the year I believe it was, and everybody was raving, ranting, going crazy because Sam Darnold and the Jets steamrolled the Lions in their own stadium. I told you guys then it wasn't so much the Jets as it was that the Lions were just bad, right? And that theme is going to stick because I watched the game against the Packers and they just were not good. First of all, they did have home field advantage. They were at home, but the Packers, Mason Crosby missed 4 field goals. Aaron Rodgers fumbled the ball twice. And they had a bunch of penalties, that just were not good. They were just shooting themselves in the foot. They were killing themselves all game, especially in the first half. So it was definitely more the fact that the Packers were just, losing the game as it was the Lions were winning that game. So let's be clear about that. That's the first thing. So let's go ahead and get into some of these stats and stuff so that way we can paint the picture a little bit better. So first, we'll start with the league standings. First, the offensive league standings. Points per game, we're at 21.7. That's 23rd in the league. They are at 25. That's 14th. Yards per game, we have 330.3. That's 27th. They have 365.2. That's 21st. Pass yards, they are at 223.5. We're at 223.5, that's 25th. They have 268, and that's 14th. Rushing yards, we have 106.8 per game, and that's 16th. And they have 97.2 per game, that's 23rd. So, obviously our offense needs to pick it up. They did a lot better last game overall. And for us, I've said that the key thing is that offensive line. And last week they played great. They did really well, and I expect that to continue this week. They're really gelling. Our run game is working, and it's really starting to come to life again. And we've got weapons in the receiving game, whether it's the running backs or all these fast little speedy wide receivers, or the tight ends that we have. Nick O'Leary's been doing really good things for us. Mike Gesicki's been getting involved a little bit. So we definitely got options. Devontae Parker, I don't know, is he going to be active? We'll see. I mean, if he's inactive, that could say, that could point even more towards that, they're trying to trade him or whatever. The deadline, I believe, is the 30th of this month, so they got another 10 days or whatever to field calls and stuff like that and see whether or not they're going to be able to trade him. I think the other thing that sucks is if, we get rid of him, then we don't have that big body receiver. That's the one thing that can make this offense just super dynamic, is if we had that one, like AJ Green, right? That kind of receiver. But then on the flip side is it's been a while since he's proven to go up and get those 50-50 balls and really fight for it. I mean, in this last game, that interception, the one pass they threw to him, the interception, I think he definitely could have done more to at least break it up, and so to go up and fight for the ball. So it's been a while since he's even done that. It is really disappointing. So, I don't know. That's just going to have to play out. I think our offense will be fine, though. Like I said, the key is just the offensive line, whether or not that is able to, create the running lanes and give, Brock Osweiler, since he's going to be the quarterback this week and probably for the Texans game as well, time to throw. But they've been doing great. Our tackles, Tunsil and James, have been doing phenomenal. And, the interior of the offensive line has been, gelling now that Travis Swanson and Ted Larson have had some time to work in there, with Jesse Davis and James and Tunsil. They're getting, they're getting pushed, and they're doing good things. All right, so moving into defensive statistics for us, we're at 24.2 points allowed per game. That's 17th. They're at 27.4. That's 25th. Yards allowed, 396.7. That's 26th. They are at 367.8. That's 17th. Pass yards allowed, we have 278.5. That's 24th. And they have 222 per game. That's 7th. But rushing yards allowed, we are at 118.2, that's 21st, and they have 145.8, that's 30th. So we will have opportunities to run against them and so on and so forth. And with our defense, I mean, if you look at our defense has been really good all year. They just the big thing for them right now, and they will continue the league standings, I guarantee will continue to get better if our offense can start producing more and, you know, staying on the field longer, converting third downs, which we have been getting better at overall. You know, so converting third downs, continuing drives, putting up points, and making the other team play from behind. You know, our defensive statistics will continue to go up, but we have one of the best red zone defenses in the league right now. We lead the league in interceptions right now. So we're doing good things. You know, we've been a very bend but don't break kind of defense. We've got a lot of speed. We're definitely getting healthier. So our, you know, we should be able to continue to grow with that. And I think that overall, when it comes down to it, I mean, the Lions right now are 2-3. They are coming off a bye. We're 4-2. We're at home for this game. I like the matchups better overall. I think our defense, it's very opportunistic, very stingy. I think they're going to be able to have their way. We're going to be a little light this week on pass rushers, on our edge rushers, but our defensive line has been doing pretty, you know, phenomenal the entire season, considering the fact that they've been losing people like every week, right? So especially once they get healthy and that full rotation gets in there again, I think they're just going to be super nasty. Our linebackers are playing really well. They're getting better and better every week. And especially with Bobby McCain coming back, our secondary is looking pretty strong too. So I think that our defense has a good opportunity here. I think they're going to be able to shut down this Detroit Lions offense. And as far as our offense versus their defense, I think that we stand a pretty good chance there as well. I mean, I do like the matchups. You know, they're going to be a little bit banged up with, you know, Ezekiel Ansah, even if he does come back. You know, but no one really scares me on that defense all that much. You know, they're solid, they're decent, but they're not all that great, right? So just like I've been saying, the theme, this Detroit Lions team is not really all that great. This is a game we absolutely should win, although I'm pretty sure the odds bettors have us as an underdog for this game. But I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, like I've said for a while, let these motherfuckers keep hating, let them keep doubting, and it's like Gay said, we'll just keep surprising everybody. Anyway, so getting into it a little further, let's dissect a little bit the last game, the stats and statistics. I'll give you that. Our last game, we had 541 total yards. Detroit had 264. We had 380 passing yards. They had 170. We had 161 rushing yards. They had 94. And we were at 7.2 yards per play. They were at 4.6. So see, if our offense can play, now maybe they don't have to play that lights out, right? But if they do play efficiently like that and get yardage, put up points, the run game's working, then I think things will balance out across the team as a whole, and I think that we'll have a really good chance against this weak Detroit Lions team. Now, if you look at their offense, if you look at those statistics from the last game they played against the Packers, they scored, I think it was 31-24. They scored a bunch of points and stuff like that, but look, they only had 4.6 yards per play, only 94 rushing yards, right? Matthew Stafford only had 170 passing yards. I mean, come on. They didn't really do anything. So just more evidence that it was more about the fact that the Packers beat themselves. Going into it, so, in this last game, we lost a fumble and 2 interceptions. I think, obviously, it was that Drake fumble on the goal line in overtime. I think he's going to be a lot better. I don't think we're going to see that. We do need to, for sure, make sure we're taking care of the ball, though. Brock can't be throwing 2 interceptions, right? He needs to have a little bit of a cleaner game. Although it was his first start and it was kind of last minute, so, we can give him a break. Plus, I do believe one of those interceptions, like I said, had a little bit less to do with him, and, you know, for sure something to do with Devontae Parker not fighting for it. They didn't lose any fumbles. They didn't throw any interceptions. Good for them. Third down percentage, we were 47% this last game, so that's really good. Again, another testament to the offensive line, because we were doing good on first and second downs. We were able to keep third and shorts. We were able to convert. They were at 38%. Time of possession, we had the ball 36-35. They only had it 26 minutes and 40 seconds. So again, just more testament to the fact that it was more Detroit sucking and the Packers, you know, I'm sorry, it was more the Packers sucking and killing themselves than it was really Detroit being good. We had 7 penalties last game. They had 8. And just for a note, I remember when I was looking at it, the Packers had 12. Right? So just more testament, right? So anyway, moving on. Brock Osweiler was 28 for 44 this last game with a 63.6 completion percentage, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 94.9 passer rating. And for the season, he is 65.3% completion percentage, because remember, he did play in that New England game for a little bit. Towards the very end, 415 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 102 passer rating. Matthew Stafford currently, last game he was 14 of 26 for 53.8%. Only 53.8% of his passes were completed for 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 101.9 passer rating. And then for the year, he's 66% completion percentage, 1,385 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, which is going to go up this game. I think we're going to pick him off probably twice. I'll say twice, with a 93.8 passer rating. Rushing leaders for us, Frank Gore led the way, 15 rushes, 101 yards with a 6.7 average. Kenyon Drake came up after that with 13 rushes, 57 yards, and a 4.4. For them, Kerryon Johnson had 70 yards on 12 rushes for a 5.8 average. And so he's going to be their primary weapon, I think, that we need to look out for. They do have some, you know, solid receivers. I'll get to that in a minute. But I think Kerryon Johnson's going to be the big thing. If we can stop their run game, particularly him, and limit him in the passing games, keep him from getting the ball in open space and stuff like that, then I think that we're really just going to shut down this Detroit Lions offense. Because after that, I think our linebackers and secondary are good enough to cover. I think that Matt Burke is, good with his play calling, creative enough with his play calling that we'll be able to get pressure. The Green Bay Packers were getting pressure on Stafford like all game, and they got some sacks on him, so on and so forth. So I'm telling you, man, our defense, if they keep playing like they've been playing all year so far, we're gonna shut them down, and our offense just has to come ready to play like they did last week, right? LeGarrette Blount had 12 rushes for 22 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 1.8 average. I don't think we really need to worry about Blount. Obviously, we do. We need to account for him. But I'm saying, I'm not so concerned about him. He's just one of those, tough in between the tackle runners. He only had a 1.8 average, but 2 touchdowns. And that's because they used him in, pretty much exclusively in short down or short distance and, goal line work, right? So, trying to convert, 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, and, to get in the end zone. That's why he had 2 touchdowns, right? And then Theo Riddick had 3 rushes for 3 yards and 1 average. He won't be playing, though, so that's one less weapon that they have. Let's see, receiving. Albert Wilson led the way for us. 6 receptions on 9 targets, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. Danny Amendola had 8 receptions on 11 targets, 59 yards. Nick O'Leary was a 4 for 4, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. Kenny Stills was 1 for 2, 35 yards. Jakeem Grant, 3 for 4, 32 yards. Kenyon Drake, 4 for 6, 21 yards. And Frank Gore was 1 for 1, 18. And Mike Gesicki was 1 for 2 for 11. For them, Kenny Galladay, he's a pretty, he's a solid, they have solid receivers, a couple solid receivers, but none of them are like, super difference makers. None of them are going to just completely change the game by themselves. But we do need to account for them. I think X is going to take one of them away. You know, Bobby McCain's coming back. And that secondary with Minka and Bobby and Jones and McDonald and Howard, I think that they're going to have no problems containing their receivers. But Kenny Galladay was 4 for 9, 98 yards, 1 touchdown. Golden Tate was 5 for 7, 42 yards. Theo Riddick, who again isn't going to play, was 2 for 3, 20 yards. Kerryon Johnson was 2 for 2, 15 yards. And then getting into defensive statistics, last game we had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 3 passes defense. They had 4 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 0 interceptions, and 3 passes defense. You know, and like I said, I mean, they had 4 sacks, yeah, but the Packers were just playing like garbage that game. So anyway, that's all of the statistics and stuff. I've given you kind of a breakdown, talked about matchups and stuff like that. I do think that we have the edge. I don't know why odds makers are picking them. I think they were a 3-point favorite, so we were like a 3-point underdog for this game. I think it's silly, it's whatever, I don't care. Like I said, I love it. I hope that they just continue to doubt us all year long, you know, because this team plays really well like that. And real quick, just before I get into my prediction for the game, I want to say that I read a tweet from Omar Kelly. He's been surprising me a lot lately. He's been less pessimistic and skeptical, and he's been feeling the team. Anyway, so he sent out this tweet with a couple tweets added on because he had a lot to say apparently. And but he was basically saying he's really feeling this team. He loves this team. They feel like the 2008 team. They feel like the 2016 team that really played for each other. They played as a team. They played for their coach, the coaching staff, right? They all played for each other. It's like a family in there, which is really funny because he's one of those guys that's like, oh, I don't believe in the culture. Come on, Omar. It's time to admit that the culture is a big thing. And, you know, I responded to one of his tweets one day. I don't think he responded back to me. But what do you think that New England has had in, you know, up there for the past 2 decades, right? It's a culture. They've established a culture, and it's a winning one, right? And I'm telling you, man, the culture that we're established, it's like that, but it's you know, we have a much more player-friendly coach. It's not so strict. It's not like all the players that you hear leave New England and say it's just not fun there. That's not a problem for us in Miami. Gase makes sure that these guys are having fun. It's a family. They love each other. They're playing for each other. So, look, man, it's time to admit that the culture thing is a real thing. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get into my predictions for this game. I am predicting a Dolphins victory. I am predicting that we move to 5-2 on the season. Based off of what I view the quality of this Detroit Lions team to be versus the team that we have, I think that we have, you know, a really well-built team that plays for each other and that has a lot of potential on both sides of the ball. I think that this game is going to be not close. I don't think it's going to be close. So I am predicting a 38 to 10 victory. I'm sorry, 38 to 14 victory. I'll give them 2 touchdowns because they'll probably in garbage time move the ball a little bit to get something, right? Anyway, so a 38 to 14 victory. I think the defense is going to shut them down, basically. I think that our offense is going to be moving the ball, putting up points. The run game is going to be working. The receivers and tight ends are going to be getting involved. I think it's going to be really good stuff. I think the offensive line is going to continue to play lights out and do really well. They completely stonewalled the Bears defensive line last week, which was one of the best in the league. If you guys remember from my preview of the Bears game, they were one of the best in the league, top 5 and rush yards allowed, pass yards allowed, yards and points allowed per game, right? So anyway, and Khalil Mack had 2 tackles, period. So anyway, 38 to 14 Dolphins victory. I think we're basically going to crush them, and we're going to walk away with another W to put us at 5-2 on the season. So with that, guys, that is the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed enough to hit the subscribe button, maybe. Yeah, share it with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, concerns. I've started answering, you know, questions in my videos, so you get them to me. I'll start answering them for you, or I'll continue answering them for you. Make sure you hit the like button. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on the end screen. It's @Dillon Tartaro. Make sure you follow me there. I tweet and retweet things, you know, stats, stuff from Pro Football Focus, you know, whatever from the different columnists and writers and stuff. So I'm on there a bit, and during the games I've been more active and stuff too. So make sure you follow me on there. And with that said, guys, I am out. I will leave y'all to it. Have a wonderful day. Let's get ready for this W tomorrow. Let's show up and show out for our team. Let's represent. Go Dolphins. Go Phins. I'll see y'all later.